The first book was the rural edition, and I was in a rural area. And so what I didn't realize is that this is a problem across the world for entrepreneurs. I was in a rural area. My clients were rural. I wrote the book for hiring in rural areas. And that was actually a blessing in disguise, because what I had inadvertently done is chosen the toughest population to hire for. Like, if I could help entrepreneurs in rural areas attract A players to their team, I had a hunch that this would work in a major metropolitan area, and it might work exponentially better simply because you have more people to choose from. And that absolutely turned out to be the case.
You work hard in your business. On the Profit by Design podcast, we ask the big question: what has your business done for you lately? Hi, I'm Dr. Sabrina Starling, the business psychologist, the author of How to Hire the Best, and your co-host on the Profit by Design podcast. Weekly, my co-host, Mike Bruno, and I bring you tips, tools, and strategies from our own experiences and from the experiences of our guests, who are entrepreneurial thought leaders and real-life entrepreneurs, all to support you in making intentionally profitable and sustainable business decisions to live the lifestyle you desire. At Tap the Potential, we know you're longing to be freed from the constant demands of your business. You need a business that supports your life. And the problem is your business is taking over your life, leaving you frustrated and discouraged. We get it. At Tap the Potential, we believe work supports life, not the other way around. We understand you're paying a team, and most likely you're still having to do it all. There should be accountability. It should not be this hard, which is why, through our proprietary coaching system, we help thousands of business owners like you have more time for what's important to them and grow profit by 300 to 800%. Here's how we do it. Start by taking our assessment at tapthepotential.com/assessment. You'll get an overview of your current quality of life as it relates to your business and next steps needed in your business to improve your quality of life while strengthening your business. Next, meet with our success team lead to debrief your results. Then, join our Better Business, Better Life program. By the end of your first year with us, you will have more time for what matters to you and more money in your bank account than you've ever had before. So, if you're ready to take your life back, the next step is to take our assessment at tapthepotential.com/assessment. Profit designers, at Tap the Potential, we are on a mission right now to be a positive force in social media during trying times for all of us entrepreneurs. In that regard, I would love it if you could help us out. We really want to get behind any of you who are doing good things in your communities, showing up and leading with love. If you are doing something to keep your team together during this time and you're sharing it in social media, or you come across another entrepreneur who is being a gift from their gift in some way that you notice, please use the hashtags Lead with Love and Be a Gift. Our team at Tap the Potential is on the lookout in social media for those hashtags, and we will be reposting those social media posts from the Tap the Potential social media. Let's all lead with love, be a gift, and shine bright during these trying times. Well, Stacey, welcome back to the Profit by Design podcast. You're becoming a regular around here.
Yeah, I'm okay with that. That's all right.
I know. We have a lot of fun when we record together. So you are going to interview me today, and we're going to talk about the How to Hire the Best book, the latest in the series, The Entrepreneur's Ultimate Guide to Attracting Top Performing Team Members. And before we go there, we have a big announcement to share with respect to the winners that we have for the drawing for David Jennings' book, Systemology. A few episodes back, David was a guest on the podcast, and he was very gracious in offering to gift 2 of our listeners with a signed copy of his book. And so our winners are Steve Dale and Sarah Martin. Woo!
Yay!
Congratulations, guys. We are so excited that you 2 received that book, and I know it's going to serve you well in your businesses.
Yay. That's awesome. All right. So, Sabrina, if I'm the interviewer, kind of have to let me do my job.
Yes, ma'am.
So I think that's a great way to start talking about the Entrepreneur's Ultimate Guide to Attracting Top Performing Team Members is an upcoming book of yours. And let's celebrate wins and successes first. You've just announced our winners, so that's a big win for Steve Dale and for Sarah Martin. So what's a win that you have for this week?
Wow, my big win is that we have the Audible version ready to upload to Audible for How to Hire the Best for the Entrepreneur's Ultimate Guide to Attracting Top Performing Team Members. We have it ready to upload before the book launch. We're working ahead. We've kind of learned how book launches go now, so we have our system in place. So that feels like a big win. I think that's going to be mine for today.
That's it. All right. Well, I'm going to share one of my wins, and that is that I get to interview you this time instead of you interviewing me. So we're switching up the seats, and I'm going to just be honest here. I am profoundly uncomfortable with that. So that's one of the things that we need to get comfortable with.
Yes, stretching outside the comfort zone.
So the question I want to start with is, why did you write How to Hire the Best, the Entrepreneur's Ultimate Guide to Attracting Top Performing Team Members? What was important to you about that?
So this is the book that I never wanted to write. And I couldn't not write it, even though I didn't want to write it. And what happened was years ago, right after I read the Pumpkin Plan. I became a Pumpkin Plan Your Biz strategist. I was one of the inaugural Pumpkin Plan Your Biz strategists. And we were pumpkin planning our own businesses as we were learning the process. And I had looked at my top clients. I'd done my top client assessment. I had done my wish list interviews. I had the results compiled in front of me, and I was sitting down with Donna and Mike and the other strategists who were going through training, and we were looking at the answers from my clients to these different questions. And I mean, really, the evidence was right in front of me, and I did not want to see it. I mean, it was one client after another when we asked, if I could do one thing in the world that would make your life easier. If I gave you the magic wand and could do one thing that would make your life easier, what would you have me do? And one after another of them were saying, you would give me a pill that would take away my employee problems. Like, Sabrina, go make a pill. Or you would tell me how to hire great team members. You would teach me how to make my warm bodies more productive. And you would help my team members understand why we're doing and really get engaged in doing what we're doing. And you would take away all the drama that I deal with employees. And as a psychologist, I knew they were saying that to me because they had been seeking me out to use my expertise in psychology to help them with all the people problems that were going on in their businesses. And I knew a few things right off the bat. Number one, I had no idea how to make a pill because I'm a psychologist.
Well, so let me take a time out here, because I think what you have just dug into and maybe aren't even aware of it before we go even further is they didn't tell you, go write this book. This is the result that I want.
Oh yeah, that's so true.
What they told you was, I have this problem and here's how I express it. So one person was saying, take away my employee problems. The other person was saying, I want something more than warm bodies, or all I have is warm bodies. So the way they were expressing this problem was different. And when you looked at what was common across all of their individual expressions, it was related to hiring, and it was related to key team members, and it was related to employee issues.
And Stacey, I want to be totally honest. when I first looked at those results, I didn't realize it was related to hiring.
Right.
That didn't dawn on me. It was more, I was reading those results as Sabrina, design a program to train employees. And I thought, we've already been trying this. I've been teaching you guys how to coach your team members, and you're good coaches, and you're still not getting good results. I don't think there's anything else I can do. And that's what I was feeling. And I felt really blocked because I thought, I don't see anything else that I could do.
Yeah.
And
that is a disempowering kind of feeling when you don't see any options and you can't see past the experience to create options.
Yeah, it was I felt stumped. I thought, this pumpkin planting stuff, I don't think it's going to work. I started having my own doubt, just like our clients go through. I was like, I did all this effort. I interviewed all these people. And so what? Now what do I do with this? Because now we're back at square one and I don't know what to do with this. And so what I was really buying into that I didn't realize I was buying into is what's called the dominant discourse that is prevalent among small business owners. And that is, we can't get good help. We can't afford to pay the wages and salaries that we would need to pay. So we can't attract top talent into our business. We just have to make do. This is the way it is. And when it's a dominant discourse, it means that it's expressed in various ways throughout our entrepreneurial culture in the United States and even internationally. And we all buy into it in some form or fashion. We reinforce it for each other. Two business owners get together at the bar and they have a conversation about the terrible thing their team member did this week that drove them crazy and made them want to beat their head against the wall. And we go, yeah, and let me tell you what my team member did with it, and it's just like a back and forth and let's drink and let's commiserate. And this is awful. And this is what we deal with. So now we all feel bad about ourselves. And so one of the things that I did in graduate school is I wrote a dissertation, and it was around disrupting dominant discourses. And so I knew something about dominant discourse, but it did not dawn on me that employee challenges and hiring challenges were a dominant discourse in the entrepreneurial world. But that just the way it is, it's just the way it is phrase kept kind of reverberating in my head. And one morning after I did these wish list interviews, it probably was a few months later. I don't know that it was right away, but I woke up and I had this powerful question running through my head. And it's, when you're just coming out of sleep and sometimes you have these aha moments, it was kind of like that. And the question was, what if it's not true? What if it's not true that we're a small business in a small town, and most of my clients at the time were in rural areas. So I was like, what if it's not true that because we're in a rural area in a small town, a small business, we can't get good help? And it just dawned on me like, wow, we're all buying into this and it may not be true. And if we all buy into it, that means we're not really looking very hard for solutions. Just like me, I was giving up. I wasn't looking for solutions. And so with that question, that got me kind of on this trail of, I wonder if there are small business owners out there who have hired great team members, if they have good employees. And what I really wanted to find initially was some rock star entrepreneur who had a team full of A players. Well, I don't know that that person exists, or they didn't at that time. And so I was looking to find that person, and I was asking anybody that I could find, who do you know? And nobody knew anybody that could advise me on that. But what I did, and so then I changed my criteria. I thought, what if I could find small business owners who have an A player on their team, one A player, and just ask, how did you get this person that you're so excited about, this wonderful team member? And so I started from that angle and identified lots of small business owners that way. I mean, most every small business owner has had at least one great employee at one time or another. And so I asked, would you tell me how this person came to be on your team? And one after another, Stacey told me the exact same theme, which is, I have no idea, Sabrina, what I did to attract this person on my team. I'm so grateful they're here, but I don't know how to replicate it. And I don't know what to tell you. But Sabrina, if you go out there and you find how somebody has done this and the system for it, please come back and tell me, because I would pay money. I would pay lots of money to have a solution to this problem.
Yeah. So from a business owner or entrepreneur's perspective, that is incredibly valuable. And a lot of what we do is discount what comes easily and what just happens, right? And so if we can dig in deeper, that's what you were hitting on. Let's dig in deeper around what steps occurred before this final result happened. So what was the one before that and what was the one before that? That's turning it into a system that you can then reproduce. So I'm thinking back because ProfitCon was just last week, and you and I met 5 years ago at the 2016 ProfitCon. That was my first event there. And I remember grabbing a copy of your very first book. And what struck me about that book was how small it was and how packed full of information, high-level thinking in how to hire the best around the cost of employee disengagement. And the information in that book was like, I could see then how important it was for business owners to have this. So that creates like the trifecta of important books. Profit First for the financial piece, and then there are others that I think build on that. Pumpkin Plan Strategy for competing in the marketplace, and the How to Hire the Best. How do you get the team underneath you to really start advancing those goals? So the thing that is interesting now, and it's causing a little bit of discord in the community, is you're turning How to Hire the Best into a series. So the second book you wrote was the Contractors Edition. And I know from conversations with clients, they are wondering, like, okay, I'm not a contractor. Is this really useful for me? And now you've got this third book coming out, The Entrepreneur's Ultimate Guide to Attracting Top Performing Team Members. That's going to speak to probably a wider audience. And then I know you have another goal, another book coming out beyond that. So talk about turning it into a series.
Yeah. So the first book was the rural edition, and I was in a rural area. And so what I didn't realize is that this is a problem across the world for entrepreneurs. I was in a rural area. My clients were rural. I wrote the book for hiring in rural areas. And that was actually a blessing in disguise, because what I had inadvertently done is chosen the toughest population to hire for. Like, if I could help entrepreneurs in rural areas, and many of my clients were in Wyoming, there are more antelope than people in Wyoming. If I could help them attract A players to their team, then I knew, well, I didn't know for sure, but I had a hunch that this would work in a major metropolitan area, and it might work exponentially better simply because you have more people to choose from. And that absolutely turned out to be the case. And so after I wrote the rural edition, I'm a pumpkin planner. So I pay attention to the feedback that I get. And we started getting calls from people all over the United States, and the majority of them were in one industry, construction. And so I thought, okay, the next book needs to focus on the construction industry, because they have the greatest, out of all the industries, they have the greatest hiring challenges. And so that's how the Contractors Edition was created and written. It was to serve the industry that had the greatest hiring challenges. And that was going to be it. I was going to be done when that book launched last year and it went to international bestseller status on Amazon. That blew me away, that a niche book like that would become an international bestseller. I was like, what is going on here? And so I'm a pumpkin planner. I'm paying attention to who's inquiring about this, who's excited about this book. And I noticed there were a lot of people in the construction industry very excited about it. And there were entrepreneurs across all industries excited about it. We have chiropractors, accountants, real estate brokers, and physical therapists just excited about this book. And they were reading the Contractors Edition. They were buying multiple copies to share with their entrepreneur friends who were not contractors. And I was like, this is crazy. And inside, there's always the little gremlin. I always wanted to say, but your friend's not a contractor, right? I zipped my lips. I did not let that gremlin out. And after that book launch, I just knew the book that I really have been dying to write is The 4-Week Vacation. That book has been my passion project for 6, 7 years now. I've been working on it off and on. And I was so eager after the How to Hire the Best Contractors edition launched last fall. I was going to write the 4-week vacation this year. That was going to release this fall. This, September, that book was going to come out. And I was like, doggone it, I can't write that book yet. I have one more book I have to write. And it's How to Hire the Best, the Entrepreneur's Ultimate Guide for entrepreneurs everywhere, regardless of what industry you're in. And what's been so beautiful about writing this as a series is that we get feedback all the time from our clients as they implement How to Hire the Best. And so when I wrote the rural edition, I was putting out there the patterns that I was seeing as I interviewed business owners who had A players and noticed what they were doing to attract top performing team members. So I created a system from that. Well, as I started teaching the How to Hire the Best course, then I started getting feedback from our clients who were implementing the system. And I could see which pieces of the system worked better than others. So I knew very quickly within 6 months, which pieces were the sure shots. Like if somebody was really desperate to hire, I knew exactly what to tell them to go do because I knew with a 90% success chance that it would succeed and they would get a good hire out of that. And so that's what I put into the contractors edition. But there was a piece that's always bugged me. And that is that, we can hire great team members, but if we don't have the culture in our business to bring them into, they're not going to stay. And I knew that that piece was really missing from the first 2 How to Hire the Best books. That a lot of what we help our clients with who are in our Better Business, Better Life program is bigger than hiring. It's about creating these great places to work that are profitable and they're employers of choice because they can really love on their employees. They do great things for their team members. They, like Steve Bousquet, did Spirit Day for his team members and gifted his clients. He reached out to vendors, us being one of his vendors, and asked for swag that we could do to help boost the spirits of his team members. So he organized that whole event. That's what employers of choice do. They're thinking about their team, they're thinking about the culture, and they're being very intentional. And that's not in the first 2 How to Hire the Best books.
Interesting. So, about culture, you have a culture whether you know it or not, right? And if you're not intentional about creating that culture, that creates a lot of confusion. And one of the books that I think comes back time and time again is the game of work. And so those rules, when you aren't intentional about creating a specific culture and adhering to it, the rules can be really confusing about what's acceptable and what's not acceptable. This person, we have a uniform that we're supposed to be wearing, and this person continually wears a non-branded logoed hat, right? And they're not supposed to do that, but that person gets away with it. That's a culture, an aspect of the culture that's not clearly lived by and intended. The intention is there. This is the uniform that we're going to wear, but this is something we're allowing to happen. So if you allow those rules to get, or lines to get crossed, it gets confusing, and then the staff doesn't know how to behave or evaluate situations because it's inconsistent.
It is absolutely inconsistent. And it's not the culture that you would want to develop, right? You hit the nail on the head. You said it's unintentional. And one of the questions that we ask on our key team member survey, so when we're bringing new clients into our Better Business, Better Life program, we survey the A players on their teams to really get the team member perspective of what's going on in the business. And one of the questions we ask is, what are the unspoken rules or norms in the culture? And that is I love that question because there's some surprises in there. And what's really interesting is when you have an A player on the team tell you things like, oh, well, we're going to start meetings 10 minutes late because, it's always, there's technical difficulties on the Zoom calls. And so I show up at the 10-minute mark because I know, prior to that, everybody's just been trying to figure out their headsets and whatever. And so things like that just get woven into the culture. So we business owners have to be very intentional about the culture we want to create, very thoughtful about it. And Time and again, the key piece, the seed of the culture is going to be our immutable laws. And when we take the time to identify those immutable laws and put them out there, we start to attract people who are in alignment with our immutable laws, both from the client side and from the team member side. And that's really what we have. A lot of business owners who say, I've fallen back in love with my business. I really feel like that's happening because they're experiencing their business as being more aligned with an expression of who they are at their core, being very authentic to them. They feel a lot of pride in what's happening. And when we fall back in love with our businesses, what we're really saying is the people that I get to work with are great. We see the world in similar ways. We have similar ways of doing things. So there's a lot of harmony. And because we do that, we serve our clients in an in sync sort of way. Our clients have similar immutable laws as we do too. So they're very happy with how we're serving them. And so we're getting this feedback loop going. And an example of this, Don Zerby just shared the other day that he read How to Hire the Best. He went through the course last year, and he shared an email that he received with customer feedback on his first hire after reading How to Hire the Best. And that email was a customer saying, your team member did a great job. They were wonderful. They took so much time with me. They educated me, which is one of Don at Echo Lawn. Shout out to you, Don Zerby at Echo Lawn. That's one of his big immutable laws. And so just think about this for a minute. He's been very intentional about hiring around that immutable law. He's trained around that. He's had multiple conversations with team members about that. And now he's getting feedback from a customer about his team member who is showing up that way as he goes about doing his job on a daily basis. So Don also now has customers who appreciate that immutable law being expressed. So it's this whole feedback loop that gets going.
Well, what occurs to me is that's the only way we can grow beyond ourselves as the business owner and entrepreneur, right? We have to have team members that are emulating that thing that we are so skilled at and have developed in the company that makes us unique. And it is partially the immutable laws, but that's also an area of innovation for him. So that's how his company stands out among others, is through educating their clients around the process that works best to achieve the results that they want, right? And it is a partnership between their clients and them as they're providing the service. So if the clients aren't performing on their side, their results won't be as good. So it has to be that symbiotic kind of relationship. And he needs key team members who understand that and can help develop it in their ideal clients. So yeah, it's the only way we can grow beyond.
It is. And I love how you're pointing out when we identify our immutable laws, they can become part of our area of innovation. What makes us unique? What makes us different? And I think one of the things that trips us up often as entrepreneurs is when we start thinking about how are we unique? How are we different? We feel like we need to start doing something different ourselves. And that's not the case at all. It really is about how is it that we show up in the world? What are our strengths and gifts that make us unique and that others, our top clients especially, see in us? And it's the thing about strengths is they're so much a part of who we are. We don't recognize them as unique or different. We just assume because something comes easy and natural to us, it must come easy and natural to everybody. Isn't everybody out there educating their clients and customers about lawn care? No, they're not. And Don at Echo Lawn, his team is very unique in that way. And so they are not having to do anything different. They're standing out as different. All they are doing is amplifying and maximizing what comes naturally to them. They are being much more intentional about it. They're putting systems in place around it. And it's just a little bit different. And that's all it takes, is just being a little bit different from your competitors, and you will get noticed for it.
Yeah, but it's not easy.
No.
I mean, what you're talking about is taking a deep dive internally to figure out what it is that you do so naturally. And what strikes me about that in your own process, Sabrina, is the idea of tapping the potential of the people around you. right? And that's not a high level surface kind of thing. You worked really hard at the self-examination, self-reflection to figure out what it was that was your core strength and how to turn that into a business that has a bigger impact. We just recorded, and I was finishing up listening to episode 108, where you and I were talking about Vision 2021, right? And so often what you're expressing and what we talked about last time was that we think we have to do something new and different when really it's just taking a deeper, closer look at what we're already doing and doing it better. So that comparative advantage. We did this last year, we can do this year. So it's just continually tightening up and refining. And there are all kinds of influences that are driving us and influencing us that are outside, COVID-19 being one of them. Like, we have no control over this. It has a big impact. How do we continue to do what we do best in this new environment? That's innovation.
So you're helping me have a big aha moment here, Stacey. Why you're such a good coach. So when we are looking at what we're doing in our business and our mission and purpose in life, it really becomes an expression of who we are and what each of us is put here on the earth to do. I named my business Tap the Potential because I've always been intrigued by human potential. And I know that every day when we show up, we're really living a sliver of our potential, that there is so much untapped potential within each of us. And so as I went to graduate school in psychology, I wanted to understand how to create happiness and help people to live better, more rich, full lives. And unfortunately, in graduate school in psychology, what you learn is why people are messed up and how to help them get better. And I didn't want to just stop at let's get better and be normal. I wanted to help people really just live a very rich, fulfilling life. And so that's where, when I discovered coaching, I got very excited because that was the emphasis on positive psychology. And there's so much that we know about positive psychology. One of the key things being that when we live and work from our strengths, we are extraordinarily happy, we're successful, we're more productive, things flow for us. And when we're not working from our strengths, we feel tired, run down, we procrastinate on things feel harder than they need to be. We start questioning our competence, all the self-doubt creeps in.
Described my whole week, so thank you.
Oh no, we have to work on that for you.
Thank you for reminding me. Like, everything that I've been experiencing this week has been from that perspective. Oh, now I know I'm not working in my strengths. How do I get back to that? Okay, thank you.
Exactly. I mean, that's it. And so when we feel yuck, when we feel tired and run down, one of the questions we need to ask ourselves is, what have I been doing this week? How do I get back? You just asked that great question. How do I get back into my zone of strengths? So when I took StrengthsFinder and worked with Darren Virasamy at 34 Strong, and we took our team through that last year, my top two strengths are maximizer and relator. So I am always looking at how do we maximize relationships? How do we maximize connections with people and work better as a team? That's kind of the thread that has run through all of my work at Tap the Potential over the last 16, 17 years. And it's really pulled together within How to Hire the Best, the entrepreneur's ultimate guide to attracting top performing team members, because not only am I talking about your How to Hire the Best system that you put in place in your business, but I'm talking about, once you have those team members on board, how do you get everyone working from their strengths? And the beautiful thing is when you have A players on your team, you have them in roles that are clearly defined with key results that each person is responsible for that tie directly to the sweet spot and that tie directly to the profitability of the business. Those A players become extraordinarily productive, and you don't need as many team members. And this is what's ironic about the How to Hire the Best system, is you're actually going to be hiring fewer team members over time when you use this system. You're not going to need as many team members. You're going to have better retention on your team because you're going to do the work on the culture in the business. And so you're going to retain those top performing team members. that in turn drives profitability. And because when it comes to profit, it's not about how much you make, it's about how much you keep. So if you have low turnover in a small business is so costly, and there's hard costs and there's intangible costs. And that's, when you drive top customers away, when you anger people, when there's mistakes and there's rework, all of those are the soft costs. And so when you hire A players, you put them in the right seats, you get them working from their strengths, and then you are also putting attention to the culture of the business, you're going to retain those A players. So you're going to be hiring a lot fewer people over time. Meanwhile, the business is going to grow. And the beauty of having a system is it's replicatable. I mean, you can use the system over and over in your business. So when you read the book, you're going to solve your hiring challenges for your next hire, and your hire after that, and your next hire after that, and so on. Things get easier. That frees up a tremendous amount of energy and time for you, the entrepreneur, and for the team to do the higher level work on the business. Because ultimately what I'm looking at, and I'm so excited about, is I really want to show not just entrepreneurs, but human beings everywhere, how we don't need to work as hard. We don't need to work 60, 70, 80 hours a week to accomplish results. We can work in a very focused way. I really believe part-time, 25, 30 hours a week, when we're working from our strengths in clearly defined roles with clear results that are expected from us, that we're excited about producing, we can have extraordinary impact. And so that gets into the 4-week vacation, because that book is all about work supports life, not the other way around. As I'm writing it right now, I'm so excited to show all the research that points to the irony of when we work less, we're more effective and we're more productive. And that doesn't just apply to the business owner, it's across the board.
So I'm just going to share, I'm feeling a little trepidation around that. I know it's true. I see it happening, and yet there's a part of me that is still like not sure. And I think what I'm picking up on, and we've talked a little bit around it, but the idea of, can I do how to hire the best? Can I use this system without knowing who my ideal clients are? And will I get the same results? And I know the answer to this, but I want to hear it from you, Dr. Sabrina.
So, we all come into reading How to Hire the Best at different places in our businesses. And you can absolutely hire A players for your team without knowing who your top clients are and not knowing the sweet spot of your business. And at the same time, that's extraordinarily inefficient.
So that's your maximizer talking.
Yeah, I'm like, why would you go through all that trouble to hire these A players to take care of a lot of terrible clients and customers? Let's pumpkin plan the business and then focus on the hiring piece. And so I think what's going to happen when you read How to Hire the Best, because it's not just a book about hiring. I mean, in chapter 1, I go through the Tap the Potential solution for creating a business that is going to allow you to have more money in your bank account than you've ever had before, and more free time so that you can spend your time doing what matters most to you. So there's 5 steps, 5 strategies in the Tap the Potential solution. How to Hire the Best is number 5. So, when you read the book, it's going to open your eyes to, hey, I thought I had a hiring problem. I realize I have other things that I can do in my business that are going to have a big impact right away. And I don't even need to address the hiring. I mean, one of the things that I go through in the book is, here are all the questions to ask yourself before you hire. And oftentimes I hear feedback from people saying, I thought I needed to hire, but after I asked myself those questions, I realized I don't need to hire. I actually need to fire some people, and we need to shift some priorities around and responsibilities. And so we're going to run with a smaller team, and then we're going to let go of some of these bad clients. And the reason that it's so inefficient to hire without really looking at your client mix and your revenue mix of what's coming into the business is that 9 times out of 10, when we entrepreneurs go to hire, we are hiring team members to take care of our most difficult, challenging clients and customers who take up the most resources in the business. They leave us feeling like we don't have enough team to handle the demand. And so What's so beautiful is once we identify the sweet spot of the business, we can see immediately the 80% of customers that are responsible for 20% of our big headaches. And, so the difficult clients and customers, and then we can be at choice about letting them go and really run the business. We can right size the business around top clients and customers. And on the surface, it looks like, wow, I'm losing revenue when I do that. Oh, no. Because when you let go of those difficult clients and customers, you free up your time, energy, and resources, as well as your teams. And then you guys can get really focused on taking care of your top clients and customers. And if you are intentional about the powerful question of how can I add value for my top clients and customers so that we experience a 25% increase in revenue from our top clients and customers over the next year. Well, the beautiful thing about a 25% increase in revenue from your top clients and customers, your top 20%, is that will replace the lost revenue of the 80% of your difficult clients that you let go of.
Right. So what you're talking about is revenue may be down, but your gross margin, your profitability, your net margin, your profitability goes up, right? So it's not a problem that your revenue goes down. It's an impact. What the key measure of results is your profit margin went up and your net profit margin went up. So gross profit margin and net profit margin, those are the keys to tell. So my revenue is down by 200,000. Okay, that's not a problem if your gross profit margin is going up by 10 to 15%.
Right. So the moral of the story, Stacey, that we always come back to is it's not about how much you make.
It's how much you keep.
Yes.
Yeah. Sabrina, there are so many other things that we can, key off of in this conversation, but I'm aware of schedules and we have a tight one today.
We do. And so we're going to leave a cliffhanger. You and I are going to come back next time, maybe not necessarily the next episode, but in a near future episode. And we are going to talk about the chapters in How to Hire the Best. The first few chapters, we're going to give a preview. And our next big conversation is going to be around why hiring is such a challenge for small business owners. And you're going to have me walk through the Tap the Potential solution to having that business that gives you more money in your bank account than you've ever had before and more free time for what matters most to you. So I'm really excited to dig into that. As we wrap up, I think we probably have people who want to be totally informed as to when the book is coming out and all the goodies that we're going to be releasing with the book. So here's a URL. Go to tapthepotential.com/ambassadors and get signed up as an ambassador. That means that you want to help us share and spread the word about how to hire the best and the Tap the Potential solution to help small business owners everywhere overcome their hiring challenges once and for all. So I would love to have our listeners be our ambassadors. And again, that's tapthepotential.com/ambassadors with an S at the end. And the cool thing about being an ambassador is last year we had contests for our ambassadors. We had lots of prizes and goodies, and they got lots of special treatment and just special things that were not released to all readers of How to Hire the Best. So it's really special when you're an ambassador. We treat you very well. And we are so pleased when others get excited about sharing this book. So I'd love to have you as an ambassador.
Awesome. Thanks, Sabrina, for letting me interview you today.
Thank you, Stacey. As always, it's been a great conversation.
If your business is taking over your life and you're ready to take your life back, Tap the Potential's Better Business, Better Life program could be just what you're looking for. By the end of your first year in our program, you will have more time for what matters to you and more money in your bank account than ever. Get started. Take our assessment at tapthepotential.com/assessment. Thank you for spending time with us today. Join our conversation in the Profit by Design podcast Facebook group. Share your thoughts on today's episode, ask us questions, and let us know what you want to hear about next. Visit our website at profitbydesignpodcast.com to access resources from our sponsors and tools we've created for you. Subscribe to the show on whatever platform you're listening to right now. There's a subscribe button right there. Go ahead and hit it so that you always get a notification when we release a new episode. And finally, share our podcast with a friend if you know a friend who would enjoy it. Thanks again for listening. This is real life business. Keep your chin up, keep moving forward. You got this.